recognized tribe.
Yes.
You know, some Indian health agencies can offer things like residential treatment, substance abuse services for non-federally recognized tribal members.
I think one of the good things that have come out of it too is that I know that in these last couple of generations, people have changed in the fact that they're really becoming really educated and coming back to their communities. And so a lot of these Indian health services are now being staffed by Native people that are bringing back, wanting to give back to their community.
Right. And again, as painful as it is to be reminded of our history, we do need to know.
Yes, yes.
What we've endured historically, where we are ourselves in the grieving process. The Kubler-Ross model of grieving is, it comes in different stages, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and then acceptance. That's kind of the typical grieving model. And I don't think it necessarily happens in those, ordered stages. I think you can be at different stages of grieving depending on what you're grieving about, So it's important to really assess where you are personally and as a tribe, what ceremonies need to be done to heal our people from this sadness and the trauma that has occurred. That's going to be important, those important next steps that as tribal communities we really look at.
Right. I think another important aspect of that is not only healing our bodies, but actually for these ceremonies is really healing the earth as well.
Right. Very important. For instance, Pacheco Pass Highway. It was the main highway that the gold rush seekers used. And that highway was the site of some of the most violent battles between non-Indian and Indian people that occurred. And to this day, it has one of the highest rates of accidents for no apparent reason.
Yes.
And from a Native viewpoint, I think that the land has not been healed properly, or at all. I've not heard of anything healing. So I think we do need to heal the land that's been traumatized as well as ourselves.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Can you expand a little on how you have seen historical trauma really manifest in the work that you do directly with the Indian Child Welfare Act and even in the family violence aspect?
I think that some families have a hard time working with any government official for obvious reasons, because the U.S. government has not had a good history with keeping their word with Native people, and so there is a definite mistrust of U.S. government officials that continues to permeate in some working relationships. So that can be a huge stumbling block to working with one another. But I think if we on the court end can educate the court system on the history of our people and why some working relationships are more difficult for some than others, then once we all kind of understand where each other's coming from, then I think those working relationships can get a little bit easier.
So let's talk about the Tribal Project Unit and some of the mission and goals of that Tribal Projects Unit.
Well, I mean, I think the main goals are to really widen the spectrum of what we can do for the court system with tribal communities. For instance, we've just recently convened on December 21st. Solstice Day, Winter Solstice Day, the first ever meeting between tribal court judges and some state court judges, as well as the Chief Justice of California. This historic meeting really, I think, signifies the positive path that we're going in towards the future, where, all these different tribal justice systems and, the California justice system working together to really define what's the issues are, the justice gaps, and how we can work together to change this and to provide better service to Native American people in our communities.
So there's actually very limited tribal courts within the state of California, and although there is a very large Native community in the state of California. Right. Now, how and what are the anticipation of some of that kind of work being brought into the regular local court, like local and county court systems, as opposed to just specifically tribal courts?
Well, we're hoping to see, more collaboration. And so we're hoping to be able to talk about in more of our trainings and, even on our website, the different collaborative efforts that are happening, because there are numerous tribal courts that are collaborating with their state court system within their county, to provide better service and, to provide full faith and credit,
right?
To tribal court orders and
And I think even just to be able to follow up on follow the ICWA guidelines and so forth for tribal members of non-federally recognized tribes within local court systems.
Yeah, following the spirit of the law.
Exactly.
Right.
So we have about a minute left in the show.
Okay.
Can you want to do a closing on